Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's class. We will be doing a revision of Maths 2. The topic is quadrilaterals. Revise, and at the end we'll be doing a quiz. So quadrilaterals, this is the tree diagram, the family tree. How quadrilaterals are classified? They are first classified as parallelograms and trapezoids. Parallelograms have two opposite sides equal and trapezoids has only one pair of opposite sides equal. In parallelogram, again, there are rectangles, rhombuses, and squares. For rectangles, we can say that only the opposite sides are equal, whereas for a rhombus and a square, all the sides are equal, right? Next, we see a few properties that we need to remember. Adjacent angles of a parallelogram are supplementary. Supplementary means sum of two angles is 180 degree. So as you can see here, angle A plus angle B is 180 degree. A and B are adjacent angles. Angle A plus angle D is 180 degree. A and D are adjacent angles. Okay, so sum of the neighboring angles, sum of the adjacent angles is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, that's the first thing. Second, opposite sides are congruent. So PS is congruent to QR, SR is congruent to PQ. Next, opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. So opposite angles, you could see here, angle P is congruent to angle R, that way. Angle S is congruent to angle Q. And lastly, diagonals of a parallelogram, they bisect each other. So here you could see the diagonals, they bisect each other. So those two sides, they bisect each other, means they break each other into equal parts. Okay. Then how do you prove that it's a quadrilateral? The quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So these are few properties. A quadrilateral is a parallelogram if quadrilateral is a parallelogram if its opposite angles are congruent. Okay, so in case if you find that the opposite sides are also congruent, then we say that it's a parallelogram. So in the first case, you can see the opposite sides, they are congruent, right? This side is congruent to this side is congruent to this. Therefore, we say that that's a parallelogram. So yes, that's a parallelogram. Second one, we could see that the opposite angles are congruent. If the opposite angles are congruent, then it is a parallelogram. Next, if the diagonals bisect each other, still we can say that yes, it's a parallelogram. So for any question where you are asked to check if that's a parallelogram, yes or no, prove that it's a parallelogram, we can use these properties to prove that it's a parallelogram. Okay, and the fourth property says if only one pair of opposite sides is parallel and congruent, then we say that it's a parallelogram. Most of the time we use this fourth property to prove that given quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, next, special properties about the diagonals of quadrilateral. So what is a diagonal? Line segment which joins the two opposite vertices is called as a diagonal, right? So here in this case, for a rectangle, we can say that the diagonals are congruent. For a rhombus, we can say that diagonals, they bisect the opposite angles. And of course, the diagonals are perpendicular bisector of each other. So these are the two properties of rhombus. Even knowing the properties of diagonals or proving the properties of diagonals, we can say that the given quadrilateral is a particular shape. Like if the diagonals bisect the opposite angles and if the diagonals are perpendicular bisector of each other, then we can say that a given quadrilateral is a rhombus. That way, if the three properties of squares satisfy, then we can say that a given quadrilateral is a square. Okay, and then we see a trapezium. Here, in this case, we see that only one pair of opposite side is parallel, the other two sides are not parallel. That's a trapezium. In this case, what's an isosceles trapezium? If the non-parallel sides, like in this case, if the non-parallel sides are not equal, then we say that it's, I'm sorry, if we see that the non-parallel sides of a trapezium, they are equal, then we say that it's an isosceles trapezium. So in case if PS is equal to QR, these are the two not parallel sides. So in case if these two sides are equal, then we say that yes, it's an isosceles trapezium. Okay, and of course the base angles will also be equal, just like an isosceles triangle. In isosceles triangle, the two sides are equal, so the base angles are equal. Likewise, in this case, if the sides are equal, the non-parallel sides are equal, then we say that it's an isosceles trapezium, and the base angles of isosceles trapezium are always equal that way. And then comes a very important theorem, theorem of midpoints of two sides of a triangle. So theorem of midpoint says that if the segment joining midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side. Okay, so in this case, I'll just break it apart. So in case if we are given that P and Q are midpoints, then we can say that the line segment PQ is parallel to BC and PQ is half of BC. Okay, that's the midpoint theorem. Okay, yeah. So that's the midpoint theorem. All right. And then let's see what is converse of this theorem. So the converse is if a line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle and it is parallel to the other side, then it bisects the third side. Okay. So in case if we have one point as the midpoint and then that line is parallel to the third side, then of course it will bisect the remaining side. Right? It will bisect the remaining side. So that's the converse of midpoint theorem. If D is the midpoint of AB and DE is parallel to BC, then we say that E is the midpoint of AC. Okay, an important theorem. Now let's do some practice. For practice, I'll be doing some problems from the textbook. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so let's start from here. Very basic and simple questions from quadrilaterals, right? Which you should know. So check, that's the first question. Diagonals of a parallelogram WXYZ intersect each other at point O. So for this, we need to draw a diagram. Let's quickly draw a diagram. So let's say that's WXYZ and the diagonals, they intersect at the point O. So here we draw that, and these are the diagonals W, X, Y, Z, and the diagonals, they intersect each other at point O. So if angle given is XYZ is 135 degrees. So XYZ, this angle is given to be 135 degrees. Then what is the measure of XWZ? So XWZ is this angle, this entire angle. What is that? We need to find that. And angle YZW. So this angle. Okay, we need to find these two angles. And we are also given length of OY equals to 5 centimeter. So OY is given to be 5 centimeter, and we have to find what is WY. That is the entire this thing, the entire length. Okay, so we are given that WX YZ is a parallelogram, and then we use the properties of parallelogram here. What are the parallelogram properties? That opposite angles are equal, right? So check W and Y, they are opposite angles. So quadrilateral WXYZ is a parallelogram. Therefore, what can we say? Opposite angles are equal. Or you could say opposite angles are congruent. Therefore, angle W is equal to or congruent to angle Y, which is equal to 135 degrees. Okay, so that's how we got angle W, which is actually angle XWZ. So angle XWZ is equal to 135 degrees. This is the first part. Then the second part says we need to find YZW. Now for YZW, we could clearly see that there is a C formation, and we also know sum of adjacent sides is 180 degree. So sum of neighboring two angles, right? Since that's a parallelogram, also what can we say? Sum of adjacent sides or adjacent angles, sum of adjacent angles is 180 degree. Therefore, what are the two angles? Angle Y plus angle Z, that is angle Z, that is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, and we know what is angle Y, that is 135 degrees, that plus angle Z equals to 180 degrees. So to find angle Z, we just have to get rid of 135. So angle Z equals to 180 minus 135, which is equal to, yeah, we just have to subtract that. So 5 over here, 4 over here, that's 45 degrees. All right. So that's how we get angle Z. Therefore, angle YZW is equal to 45 degrees. And lastly, we are asked to find what is WY. So to find WY, we know the property that diagonals of a parallelogram, they bisect each other. So if this is 5, this side is also going to be 5, right? So we use this property. We can state that also, or you can write, we know that the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Therefore, OY will be equal to OW, which is equal to 5 centimeters. Both will be equal, right? And therefore, we could write length of WY equals to, now that's 10 centimeter, double. So 5 plus 5, that is 10, that way. This is 5, so this also is going to be 5 centimeter, and then adding them up, we get 10 centimeter. That's how we do this question. Next, we have again an important question, very important one. Okay. It says in a parallelogram ABCD, A and B are given to be some expressions, then find the value of X and also find the measure of angles C and D. Okay, so for this one, we know again sum of adjacent angles is 180 degree. So just start with writing that quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram, right? So if it's a parallelogram, therefore what can we say? Sum of adjacent angles is 180 degrees. Therefore, what can we say? Angle A plus angle B, that is equal to 180 degrees. What is angle A? That's 3x plus 12. And what is angle B? That's 2x minus 32. Okay, I'll write it out once again. 3x plus 12 plus 2x minus 32 equals to 180 degrees. Okay, and what will be the next step? We just have to combine the like terms and bring x by itself to find the value of x, right? That's how we solve this equation. So combining the like terms, 3x plus 2x, that will be 5x, and then we have 12 minus 32, which will be a negative 22, because we have to give sign of greater number is 32 here. This is equal to 180 degrees. So we have 5x equals to 180, and this negative 20 shifted to that side, that would become a positive. So we have 5x equals to 200. So x equals to what? 500, sorry, 5x, 5 is in division. We need to get rid of the 5. So 5 will be in division, right? It's in multiplication, so it would divide. So x equals to 200 over 5. So x equals to what? Just a 40. So x is 40 degrees. And now we are asked to find what is angle C and angle D. So in case if I draw a parallelogram like this is A, B, C, and D. So we know the opposite angles are equal, right? The opposite angles are equal. But before that, what we could do is, once we get the value of x, we can just find out what is angle A and what is angle B. So let's find what is angle A. We just need to plug in the value of x that we have got now. So what is angle A? Here, angle A equals to 3x plus 12. Let's substitute. So 3 times, what is x? X is 40 plus 12. And now just simplify. So first multiplying and then adding 12. So 3 times 40, that's 120, plus a 12, that would give us 132. So we have angle A equals to 132. Let's find out what is angle B. So B is 2x minus 32. Plug in the value of x and then solve. So x is, we got x to be 40. So twice of 40, what would that be? That would be 80, right? So 80 minus 32, what do we get? That should be 48 degrees, correct? So this is angle B. And but we are asked to find what? We are asked to find angle C and angle D. So which property do we use here? We use the property of parallelogram, saying that opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal, right? Opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. So over here, we know that opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. Therefore, what can we say? Therefore, angle C and angle A, they are equal. Angle C is congruent to angle A, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 132 degrees. Check here, angle A, that is equal to 132 degrees. And what is angle D? Or that's D, okay. What is angle D? Angle D is congruent to angle B, which is equal to 48 degrees. So that's how we find two given angles using the property sum of opposite side is 180 degree, or we could use that sum of adjacent angles is 180 degree, and the opposite angles, they are always equal. That's how we solve this type of question, and it's an important question. Yes, you can expect this in the exam. All right, moving on to next. Again, this is an important question. Perimeter of parallelogram is given. One of its side is greater than the other side by 25 centimeters. Find the length of all sides. Okay, so how do we begin? Find the length of all sides. We need to set up some variable here. So the solution starts with check. We are given the perimeter. The perimeter of parallelogram is given to be 150 centimeter. One of its side is greater than the other side by 25 centimeter. So one side is greater than the other. Let's say one side is, so let one side equals to x. Therefore, what will be the other side? We are told that the other side is greater than the first side by 25. So that will be x plus 25. Okay. And we are asked to find the length of all the sides. So for this, we need to draw out a diagram. Let's draw a parallelogram like that. Okay. And the smaller side is x. The larger side is x plus 25. And we are asked to find length of all the sides. Let's label it. This is A, B, C, D. Okay. And just to mention here, A, B, C, D is a parallelogram. Okay. And always to find something, try to use whatever is given. So what is given? That the perimeter is 150 centimeter. How do we find perimeter of a parallelogram? Sum of all the sides, that's the one way. And second way is 2 times length plus width, right? That is the another way. Let's use summing, that is adding all the sides. So if this is x, the opposite side is also x. If x plus 25 is this side, then the opposite side is also x plus 25. Okay, so how do we proceed? How do we proceed here? We are given that sum of all sides is 150 centimeters. That means AB plus BC plus DC plus AD, the total is 150 centimeters, equals to 150. Let's plug in all the values. That means adding x plus x. So x plus x plus x plus 25 plus x plus 25. That way, that is equal to 150. And now we will just combine like terms and solve for x. So x plus x plus x plus x, there are 4 x's. So adding them, we get 4x plus 25 plus 25, that will make a 50, which is equal to 150. And then you subtract the 50 to the other side, that will give you 4x equals to 150 minus 50. So 4x equals to 100. Right? And what will be x equals to? 100 divided by 4, which is equals to 25. So that's one side. And now we have to find the other side. What will be the other side? That is, the other side is x plus 25. So that will be 25 plus 25. That gives us the other side to be 50. Okay. And at the end, we need to mention it very nicely, like what we did and what we were like, solution should be the proper way. So check everyone. We just write it out as, we need to find all the lengths. So what is length of AD, which is equal to the length of BC? Because the opposite sides are equal. This is equal to x, which is equal to 25 centimeters. Likewise, for the other one, length of AB is equal to length of DC, and that is equals to x plus 25, which is equal to 50 centimeters. That's how we complete the question. Yeah, the easy question. If the ratio of measures of two adjacent angles of a parallelogram is 1:2, find the measure of all angles of a parallelogram. So what property do we use here? we are given some information about the adjacent angles. So we should know what is the property for adjacent angles of a parallelogram. So let's start with this. Whenever a ratio is given, we start with let the common multiple be x. So let the common multiple be x. Therefore, what will be the sides? Therefore, let's say I draw a diagram here. Maybe that is not going to help. Therefore, one side will be x and the other side will be equals to 2x. Okay, that those are the angles. Right, those are the angles. Just a minute. So if the common multiples is x, then one angle will be equals to x and the adjacent angle will be equal to 2x. Right? Now we have to find the measure of all the angles. Clearly, you just find the x and then just replace the x to find the other angles. Correct? So how do we proceed from here? What is the property for adjacent angles? We know that sum of adjacent angles is equal to 180 degrees. Therefore, what are those adjacent angles? X and 2x, that is equal to 180 degrees. So 3x is equal to 180 degree. What is x? X is 60 degrees. Right? So once we have x, we can find all the angles. So let's quickly draw out a parallelogram. Let's say A, B, C, D. Okay, one angle is 60 degrees. We need to find the remaining three angles, right? So if one angle is 60 degree, then what will be the adjacent angle? That is equal to 2x, which is equals to twice of 60, which is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, that's how we find the adjacent angle. So let's say the adjacent angle is B, so that is 120 degrees. And then we know that opposite angles are equal. So if A is 60, then C is also 60. If B is 120, then D is also 100. That completes the solution. You could just write it out at the end, mention the angles. Angle A is equal to angle C, that is equal to 60 degree, and angle D equals angle B, which is equal to 120 degrees. Okay, that's how we do these questions. Now let's do the quiz. Make sure to solve some problems from the solved examples from a textbook.
Hello, Madhuri teacher.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just trying to load the quiz.
Okay, okay.
All right, so there seems some error loading the quiz. Maybe I'll just show the questions and solve it for you. You can just take a look at it. Okay, so just a minute. Share the first question. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, so that's the first question. Check everyone. Here we are asked that this figure is a parallelogram and we are asked to solve for x. So we have to just solve for x, that's it. Okay, look, this is a parallelogram and the adjacent angles are W and V. So these two angles, the sum of these two angles will be 180 degree. So the equation will be 6x plus 120 equals to 180 degrees, right? And then get rid of this 120, then get rid of 6 and that gives you x. So 6x equals to 180 minus 120. That will be 6x equal to 60 and x will be what? 10. So that's how you find the value of x, which is 10. Or maybe they may also ask you to find the individual angle as well. What is angle y or what is angle w, that way. Okay, that was one question. Let's look at next question. Next question is to just identify the shape, and I think that everybody can do that easily. So identifying this shape, what's that shape? It's a trapezium, right? An easy and simple question. That's a trapezium, right? Let's look at the next one. So again, one more simple question based on what's the name of the shape. You could see that with this question, you could see that the diagram has quadrilateral with all angles equal to 90 degree and all the sides are equal. So that's a square, right? Let's look at next one. It says we have to solve for the variables, right? It says we have to solve for the variable. I hope everybody is able to see my screen. I'm not sure though. Yeah. So just check. We are asked to find x and y. So we know that opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal. So if this is 9, this also will be 9. So x is 9 and y is 15. That's this choice. Okay, let's look at next one. Here we are given a parallelogram and we are asked to find what is the value of A. So we know that opposite sides are equal, opposite angles are equal. So what is A? A is 7 millimeters, that way. Let's look at next one. Okay, this one is a nice question. Just a minute. Yeah. So we are asked to find the value of y, and the given diagram shows that all these adjacent sides, all the sides are equal. So that means that we can just equate 3y with y plus 8, and we have to find the value of y. So in this case, y plus 8 is equal to 3y, and we have to bring y by itself. So get the y term on left. That will give you 3y minus y equals to 8. So this will be 2y equals to 8. And what is y equal to then? 8 divided by 2, that is y equals to 4. So that's how you solve it. All sides are equal, therefore just equating the two sides and solving for y gives us y equals to 4. Let me pull up the next question. Here we go. In this figure, it's a parallelogram again, and we are asked to find the value of x. So how do we do that? We know that the opposite sides are equal. Therefore, what will be the equation? 2x minus 5 equals to 17. And then we have to solve for x. So this will be 2x equals to 17 plus 5. That means 2x equals to 22 and x equals to 11. So that's how we solve it. X equals to 11. Two more questions. Now this is a simple one. It can be asked in multiple choice questions. All four sides are known as four side shapes or closed figure. They are called as what? So it's a quadrilateral, right? Pentagon is five-sided figure, and circle has no sides, and it's just a curve. Let's move on to next question. It's a simple one to identify the shape. Okay, all sides are equal. So we know that the square has all sides equal, but look at the angles carefully. Are all the angles 90 degree? No, that's not. So it's a rhombus, right? All sides are equal, but the angles are not 90 degrees. So that's a rhombus. That completes the quiz. So we have done revision on quadrilaterals, and then we saw some problems which can be expected for the exam, and then we did some questions which can be asked for 1 mark. So that was all for today. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great day.